Welcome to Black Girl Say Something, where this black girl has something to say. And I'm just going to catch y'all up. It's coming into week 2 or the first official week of summer break. And let's just say I'm tired. As a mom, I'm really working diligently. I think one day this week, a couple days this week, I found myself cutting that oven on and cleaning them pots at least 3 times. One was to make snacks and, just lunch and dinners and everything else in between. But with the reality of that, I want to talk about how, just enjoying those little things and being able to see happiness and peace in those little moments. So, for example, like with my son, we've been walking the dog a couple days now, and each day he's been finding money, and he's like 4 for 4 on finding money. And it's funny because I've had outside conversations with people where I'm like, you remember when we were kids, we used to find money, and that doesn't happen often. Only for us to have that conversation and him to find money 4 times back to back. And they're all kind of like in the same vicinity. So I'm just going to assume somebody probably dropped their wallet and the money just got blown away in the wind and nobody else is finding it because no one's looking down. And because he's little, he's closer to the ground, so he sees it. But even at one point, I was like, are you dropping this money and saying you're finding it? Because, trust issues. But that's neither here nor there. But I just was like, wow, shout out to him. He even got to the point where he's like, I want to go walk the dog with you all the time because I want to find money. But also, he has to be mindful if he doesn't find it. Don't be disappointed because you look and you shall find, which is cool, right? But if you don't get it, you can't be upset about it. And I feel like that's where I'm at in the grand scheme and in the realm of things. I got an interesting call this week from the HR department of the job that I left a year ago to date. That also was like, hey, we're going to send you a contract. And that contract was a good amount less than what I was making before I left. So I let them know it's not in my best interest to return. But their HR called me to welcome me back. And I said, hey, did they fix the compensation package? And she was like, well, this is the amount. And I was like, no, that's the amount I told him I wouldn't take. It doesn't make sense for me to come back for less, right? And she kind of laughed it off. Yeah. It's not funny, but this is the reality. And so in moving through, that the next day, or I want to say within the same week, it's been an interesting week. It's Friday, right? It's Friday the 13th. Ooh, well, depending on what superstitions or whatever you believe in. But here's the thing. Just the day before, I get a text from an old student, and around this time last year, the last message I sent her was, I look forward to all of your future successes, and keep in mind, if you have anything that you need from me that is not related to the university, you can always reach out if you need any recommendation letters, because she really was a good student. I met her during her time as a freshman, so she took a lot of my intro classes, and then I was my tenure with her. Probably she started as a freshman going into her sophomore year. So she reached out to me to let me know that her time there is up and she want to go somewhere else. She doesn't have any support here. She want to be closer to home, as well as the institution is very toxic. And I was like, if that is any mention to what I should do, even if they were to fix the compensation package, yeah, I'm not going back. Because the reality is the students are so jaded to the education, and I'll be introduced to a new set of students, right? And the reality is the students that when I first inducted into this space, that I told them I would stay until they graduated. They've all graduated and they're all doing really great things. So I've moved past that. I've moved on from that. But it leads me to say this, just like y'all know I see a lesson in everything. Just like recently, my grass was overgrown with weeds and it looked so green and so nice. And when the lawn man came to cut it, there was nothing there to show. Just as such with certain institutions and certain people, they have the look, but when you remove all the shrub, when you remove all of the smoke screens, there's nothing to them. And so it just lets me know that I have to be in a place mentally where I have to know my worth and understand that I don't want to be in places or in with people, things, or anything of that nature that does not meet me where I'm at, that does not elevate me, and where I won't feel, and I don't want to be involved in anything where I don't feel elevated, if that makes sense. Y'all get where I'm going. Anywho, so moving past that, I'm doing some amazing things over on TikTok where I am hosting every Thursday, Talk About It Thursday with Women in STEAM. And I had the opportunity last week to speak with Black Nurses Week and give them kind of like an intro session to my course that's Racial Disparities in Healthcare and related to nurses. But the nurses also wanted to know how can they become more involved as nurses of color, Black nurses more specifically, how can they be more involved in getting the word out about racial disparities in healthcare? So I did give them a post, a survey to do after my talk, and I got some really great reviews. Like some people really had some good takeaways. I'm not surprised because anything I do, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability and give quality. So there was that. And then I spoke with an engineer because I'm doing things in STEAM. And you know, STEAM is science, technology, science, technology, engineering, art, and medicine or math. But with that being said, I spoke with an engineer. Next week, I'm looking forward to talking to a chemist. And then the week after that, I'll be hosting a virtual art fair. So I'm kind of doing the things that I was doing back in the COVID days over on TikTok Live, which that's if TikTok is still going to be around. But if not, just subscribe to my YouTube because that's where I post the recaps. Subscribe on Patreon. I did do a story time. I told y'all about something last week and I gave the full story time over on Patreon. So if you're interested in that, you can always subscribe there. And don't forget, interact with the links in the description of this episode. And wherever you are listening to this podcast, please leave a review because it does help boost the podcast to the people who would be interested in what this Black girl has to say. So thank you for listening. And until next time, don't forget, tune into Black Girl Say Something every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Interact with all of the links. Subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok for now, subscribe on Patreon for exclusive content, and thank you for listening.